Okay, so we started recording. Um, Reverend Grant, my name is Mark. I represent the Western North Carolina Broadband Initiative, and the project is trying to address the advocacy of making high-speed internet available for folks in Western North Carolina.
All
And
right.
I'd like to provide an opportunity for you to introduce yourself.
All right. I'm Louis Grant. I'm the pastor of Little Mount Zion Baptist Church in Weaverville, Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Mario Circle, West Asheville. Also the senior pastor of Worldwide Baptist Tabernacle in Asheville. And I work with 106.9 The Light FM radio station. Been retired since 2016, but I work part-time there for them. And I just enjoy working with the Lord.
Outstanding, outstanding. And I have had the privilege of hearing your sermons for about a month or two, and consistently you bring up the availability of technology for us to have the benefit of sharing your service at the Western Carolina Rescue Ministry.
Mhm.
Can you kind of introduce some thoughts in your head as to how technology has played a different role for you, having moved through the FM world to here we are on video conferencing. It's the
Yeah, man.
audio
It's
and the video.
unbelievable.
How has broadband affected you in the transition in this?
Yeah, well, I started out many years ago with 50 years of being at the radio station 106.9 WMIT, WFGW 1010 AM. The radio station then had tapes, cassette tapes later, and DAT tapes and all that stuff. And we were using all kind of ways and mailing stuff to get information out, and using records and spinning those records to make the music go. And next thing you know, we were moving from that to disc and CDs and different kind of things. And next thing you know, now we're computerized and everything's on computer. I go on through a system. They were hooking up, and next thing you know, it's the internet. And we went from the airwaves to the internet, getting the word out. Dr. Billy Graham is where I've been working with his radio station for a long time. And his radio station that he founded in 1962 is better known as Blue Ridge Broadcasting. And he said to us through the years, whatever communication and technology is available to give communication to people, get Jesus on it. Get Jesus on it. So that's been our whole desire, to just find a way to get Jesus on everything. And it's kind of frightening now because we're lacking so many ways of, so many different, so many different ways of getting Jesus on. Uh, Simply using Facebook and to YouTube and some of the ways we're using now. We've still got millions of ways out there that looks like they're finding to preach and teach on. And we're slow at getting the word of God on them. Sometimes it's got the Zoom, we've got other things, but it's just so much out there. It's amazing. I said, it'd be good if you could hook them all up to one, where whenever you speak, you'd be going on all of them at the same time and giving people everywhere the word of God, so they would have access to everything, and couldn't find a way of escape.
Yep, yep.
The word.
So this week happens to be an event, and our world is full of different types of event, but it is known as Digital Inclusion Week.
Digital
And
inclusion.
yep, the ability to have not only the internet available, but the hardware, the tools for people to connect and listen and contribute. You know, if you're in a Zoom conference or Google Meet or whatever type of conferencing we are. And digital inclusion in Western North Carolina has been put to the forefront because many students weren't able to go to school and sit in a classroom, and a lot of the classes and the teachings were put into formats very similar to what we have right here, right now. However, there are folks in our community, and it is tied economically, it is tied to relevancy, it is tied to several factors as you indicated, the airwaves from the radio tower have a reach. Well, the internet is tied to a copper wire or a coax cable, or if an individual is privileged enough to have fiber optic or wireless connection to be connected. But COVID again has put us, many of us, especially those that are parents and have young children, uh, the the need to be connected, to have digital inclusion, has come more to the forefront. What what
Right.
what thoughts or comments have you seen, or do you have in regards to digital inclusion in your environment?
I'm thankful for it. It's kind of frightening that we sort of thought we had a good group in the church building where we were. We were proud of our audience that would come on Sundays and Wednesdays or whenever we get together, and we were pretty much pleased with our audience we had. And we say, somebody asked how many members you have, we tell them how many members we had or whatever. And we were proud to be the pastor of those few that we thought was a big crowd to us. But now with this technology and the internet, we found ourselves talking to a whole lot more people, or people can check out what you said later, or they can spread it and share it. And it's shocking and frightening, but it makes you more aware of the need to be careful of not just talking to your own localized crowd, because you're speaking to the whole world. That's what the Lord said, go into all the world. So it makes you more aware in your messages to try to include everybody and everything, and don't make it so just you and me, everybody, all of us together. So it's a good thing now to have this kind of technology that we can remember everybody is listening to your message. Speak to everybody. Don't just speak to one or two or the 13 you've had in the audience sitting out there in the prayer meeting, or the 2,500 you had in your church. I always had small congregations, by the way, but this has been something that's shocking, that you don't know how many people you may be speaking to now. When I was on at night on the air, we had access to so many thousands of people at 106.9 and 10:10 a.m., but we had no idea how many people were listening, because it went across the world, and sometimes the waves would go so far and bounce across, and we found ourselves speaking sometimes in Africa through the AM signal
Wow.
that would bounce, and we had no idea. And people would say, I heard such and such a place, and send an email, or not email, send a letter or postcard or something, because there was no email back that time. But now we got so much access to people hearing the message, and so it's so important. I feel this digital inclusion that we're dealing with now is such an important way of doing things, because you can reach so many more people from now on with historic stuff. It's like the dictionary. You got to go get the dictionary and look in it. But now you can go on the internet through your system and put something out there on the internet, on your Facebook or YouTube or broadband or something, and include so many at the same time. Everybody's hearing the same thing, or they can check it out later, and it's just mind blowing.
Mhm.
And you have to be so careful as well, as intelligent and wise enough to know what you're talking about, and don't just give out just something to just be making noise, but be intelligent.
Mhm. And in your congregation, in your service, have you had people that do not have the benefit of having broadband or high-speed internet available to hear your words in light of
Exactly,
COVID? And uh,
exactly. I've heard so many say, not only that, but they say, I don't have Facebook. I can't do that. I don't have that kind of technology. I can't afford it. I have a flip phone. I can't get it. Or they come up with the other statement, I don't do that. They're not going to steal my information. So I've run into all kinds of situations with this technology we have today, where people are just afraid of it, or they shy from it because they say it takes up too much time. I agree, sometimes some of this stuff takes up so much time, because once you get on the internet, man, there's so much of a world that we never knew was out there, and it's mind blowing. Uh, I used to think when Billy Graham preached that the whole world was saved, because I saw all these people coming down the aisles. I said, well, he's saving the whole world. Why should we keep on preaching? So everybody getting saved on his one sermon and coming down there, and I'm like, thousands of people getting saved, and these crusades going on. And then I learned, as one got saved, 4 or 5 would die. as one would die, 5 or 20 would be born. And I'm like, oh, so you don't get to finish telling the story because somebody's got to tell the ones who just got born and comfort the ones who just had a death. So this, it's just like a recycling continuing on. And I learned way back then that this job is bigger than I thought it was. And then I began to learn that the world is bigger than you think it is because you think it's just so many thousands. You don't even understand what, 6 billion or 7 billion people. I'm like, wait a minute, what's a billion?
So
I had a few billions to count, so I know what a billion is.
do you recall yourself when the internet was first made available to you, and how long ago has that been, and what has it meant for you?
Don't have a clue on how long it's been, but it just was scary when I found out that I was going to be dealing with a whole lot more people, and what you said would be going on. And when the radio station went off the air, the internet was still going. And so we had to act like we were still on the air talking to the same people and treat the radio just like it was still the radio station. And it was, but I had no clue that this is going to be continuing information, just act the same way you would on the air. Same way you're doing now, same audience you've had. You may not understand it there now because the station's off the air, but go on with the internet. Like, what? What are you talking about? Just go on. So we had to learn that we on internet as well as whatever you call the FM, AM. So broadband now, which I'm trying to get that word in my head and understand what it's all about, because when the government decided to take over and put us on, what was it, digital, and take over the other. Take away, they took away digital. What it was they did.
They converted from analog to digital.
Analog to digital. Yeah, I got angry. I said, "Why are they taking that from us?" But it only opened another door, because the more they take away, somebody creates something else, invent something else, come with something else. I'm like, what in the world? So now we've got so many forms of technology, so many forms of communicating now, that it's just mind blowing. Yeah.
And I continue to be very impressed at how you have empowered yourself. You have a confidence in using these tools. It is a different world using internet. High-speed internet is broadband that's necessary to do the audio and the video that we have the benefit of doing right now. And Western North Carolina Broadband Project Team out of UNCA is trying to work towards, especially as we move further west, there are communities, there are homes that have no internet connectivity, that they don't have the ability to use a mobile phone and connect. And it is an opportunity for digital inclusion.
Yeah.
But in closing, again, thank you for a few moments of your time and your thoughts on digital inclusion. This awesome world of this Zoom interaction will be put onto YouTube and to Facebook for replay, and we appreciate your words of wisdom, your ability to communicate with the new technology, as you continuously do here at Western Carolina Rescue Mission.
Well, thank you. I got a question for you.
Okay.
In this communicating, is there going to be a way that people won't need hookups to the houses, internet through want to be hooked up with a cable or anything, where they can have this, I don't know, with the phone, but maybe just have some kind of a screen in the house and
yes. We're seeing on the news Elon Musk and something called Starlink, and he's taking his Falcon rockets and he's sending up dozens and dozens of satellites for what's called low Earth orbit. So in the future, there's a possibility that many folks in Western North Carolina may have the availability of broadband through satellite dishes, just like we went through a transition when the dishes became available for television. That technology is improving, where the latency and the speeds are improving, and we're to learn about that part. And to your point, there are wireless internet service providers, because broadband or a high-speed internet requires a fiber. They call it a middle mile. The middle mile is the network that connects the last mile nodes. That last mile in Western North Carolina has a lot of trees, a lot of rocks. That connection is exceptionally expensive and sometimes not feasible. So we are in a transition. The cable copper wires that were laid 40, 50 years ago, they have a 40, 50-year life, and literally they're decomposing. We're in a transition to the coax cable that provides really the first taste of high-speed broadband. And then for those in Madison County who for the first time have fiber to the premise, FTTP, they have the benefit of having just blazing speeds, not only for the current uses, but how businesses will continue to evolve to provide the communication, the connectivity that you and I are experiencing now.
Wow.
So it is an exciting time. And I can remember my mom and dad getting a satellite dish for television, very similar to the internet and potentially SpaceX. And the satellites in the low Earth orbit may provide more Western North Carolina connectivity to minimize this digital divide. There's still the topic, as you mentioned, in education, what and how do I use the internet to relevantly use this technology in the world? There is also the expense. Technology does have a higher expense than many other life necessities, but this is where digital inclusion comes in. If I'm in a surrounding due to a hardship, whatever hardship it could be financial, it could be education. We live in a world where our communities further continue to evolve around communication using the internet. Communication can be applying for jobs, doing video interviews, learning skills, learning as many elementary, middle, and high schoolers are doing right now safely from the convenience of their home where available. But what about those individuals that don't have the benefit of spending X amount of dollars on the internet, having the technology necessary to do what we're doing here? And then the education, that's the digital inclusion opportunity that we have. And I see yourself as a steward. You have embraced a transition because of COVID. You have a message to deliver to your congregation. And hats off to you, Reverend Grant. You have embraced it, and you are the reflection of that digital world that we're happy to see that you're stewarding.
Yeah, man, it's surprising and shocking, and it's so exciting to get to do this. I'm like, really? I can go on YouTube and Facebook and Zoom and all this stuff and just talk to people all over the place and talk to a group right here. And it's amazing, simply amazing.
Well, fantastic. I want you to get a wonderful night's rest, because you're going to have a very important event in the morning. And
yes, sir.
I appreciate you taking a few moments of your time to share your wisdom and your thoughts around digital inclusion. And I look forward to future recordings and sharing that accordingly. So,
sounds good.
Reverend Grant, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And
I'm gonna do my best when you too.
That sounds great. That sounds great. We'll talk next Wednesday.
All right, we'll look forward. God bless you now. Have a great night, brother.
You too, sir. Thank you, Reverend Grant.